business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. Today's guest is going to light you up. Boy, she's lit me up already. We only spent 5 or 10 minutes. You'll be motivated, you'll be challenged, and more importantly, you'll walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and in the lives of others, which I love to be able to impact others. Here's your homework today, audience. How are you going to serve yourself today? And how are you going to serve others today? That the key word is today. Doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership in business and life can create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. Now, a quick shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the only universal emotionally resonant messaging framework that works anywhere for any audience. This 4-step system transforms how I pitch, how I social media post, and how I podcast. I engage, I persuade, I inspire, and I close with clarity. I use it daily and it works. Grab your free trial of epicimpact.ai with promo code Steve to start inspiring action today. And quick shout out, we hit top 6 in small business marketing podcast. Wasn't because of me. We're going to talk about this. It's about people. And you, the audience, and you, my guest today, and all my guests, 770 of them, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because we are truly making a difference. With that being said, Sylvia, welcome to Doing Business with Servant's Heart.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Great to be here.
You said an incredible phrase to me, compounding goodness. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, Steve, it's really rooted in this notion that everything we do has a ripple effect. So in that, if we choose to lead with good and show up accordingly when we're interacting with even just one other person with the intention of leaving good behind, lifting them up and leaving them better than when we found them, they will likely take that forward to at least one other person. So think of the pay forward movement or phenomenon, right? That we probably have all seen it at some point. So this boils down to someone, say at the drive-through at Starbucks, paying for the person behind them. That person then will naturally want to pay for the person behind them because somebody had already paid it forward, and it motivates. It signals to the brain that, hey, you're being seen. Like there is a lot of good feeling and emotions being released, chemically speaking. And it literally is starting a train of goodness. Yet it doesn't stop there, right? In the drive-through at Starbucks. What does that person who received a free coffee or maybe even a free breakfast muffin do when they show up to work? They're probably a little kinder, a little more generous. They're smiling bigger. They're a bit more patient probably than they would be otherwise. So, and that has then a ripple effect to those that they are coming into presence of, interacting with, sitting next to meetings with, so on and so forth. So that is the root of the idea, Steve, behind my tagline, which is that I am running a Ponzi scheme of human connections and compounded goodness.
Goes down, down, down.
That's right.
Talk about, because what comes to my mind when you're talking, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about legacy. How does this affect legacy?
People don't always remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. So I think back to my early days as a sales leader. Shamefully, my first cohort of direct reports, I would venture to say that they probably remember me as a very challenging manager. They're not going to say that Sylvia took us to 150% of goal. They might say she helped us make a lot of money, which in turn helped us do the things that we wanted to do for our families. Yet I didn't make them feel very good. Yeah. So that was the light bulb moment for me, Steve, that if I genuinely wanted to leave a legacy of positive impact, I had to make a choice about the person that I wanted to not only become, but commit to showing up as every single time that I'm interacting with somebody. So fast forward like some years later, uh, literally this happened not that long ago. One of my former direct reports was in the audience group of a talk I was giving, and she was asked by somebody, jokingly, cheekily, what would you say about Sylvia? What do you remember her from the time that you worked with her? And she said something that just was so gracious. Yet I think back, and go, it's really because I committed to lifting her up. I committed to showing up as the leader that left her and the others around her and us better than when I found them. And that's exactly what she said, that I am the leader that I am today because of the things that we worked on together, that we co-created together. So that would be the way I would think about legacy, and it's something that I speak to often when I am engaging and interacting with fellow like-minded leaders.
It's a great block for your legacy. I call them blocks. Everything that you do, like those stories, built in blocks. But here's the problem. People don't understand legacy. They kind of do now if they're listening to you. So I know the next thought is this sounds really good. What's my first step?
Yeah, it is really examining what is that intentionality that we are living life with and doing business with. So I had some years ago committed to being the leader that I wish I had when I was coming up through the ranks. So I wasn't that ambitious then, Steve, in terms of my legacy. I wasn't that macro or that big of a visionary yet. The notion of leaving people better than when I found them was always inherent in me. I just didn't have the language for it because what I was shown coming up through the ranks in corporate America was based on a lack mindset, dog eat dog, zero sum. So right there, I just had to go, okay, this doesn't make me feel very good. And I can't imagine this making others coming up behind me feel very good either. So it started with me just looking in the mirror to go, what choices am I making today in terms of my intentions, my intentionality? Really, like, who do I want to show up as? That was
Yeah.
the beginning of legacy planning, if you will, for myself. Yet I would say the evolution of that intentionality um, has led me to something that was deep seated in me, that was rooted in me from a long time ago, which is that I genuinely want to empower more people to leave more people better than when they found them. And that is at the root of my own sales methodology. That's what I coach and train on. Yet I would say, yeah, really getting clear about the choices that we are making every single day, every morning that we open our eyes. Go to the place of what can I do today to affect something better for somebody else, even one person.
Yeah, that's powerful. And what I love about it is anybody can do it. This is not a skill set. I can't play NBA. I'm 5'8". I can't jump. I couldn't play in the NBA. Just, I mean, 99% chance. I don't say never. I love this because that's what you're saying is me and you are not special, but we're special. We take action. That's the speciality of it. And
Yeah.
that's the important thing. Well, at
Yeah.
least the brain cells global. What inspired you to start it and what the heck is it?
So Brain Cells Global. So that's SELLS, not CELLS. So it's a sales performance consulting business that I started 7 years ago with the intention to help sellers and business development professionals put the human being back in the center of all sales interactions. So most of us coming up through large enterprise selling, business development training, we were taught to target people, right? Really treat people as a revenue goal. And that didn't sit very well with me, Steve. More importantly, when I pivoted to doing or activating this human first approach, or at the time I call it more the client first or buyer first approach, I saw great results, not only for myself, but for those that I was engaging. So one of my largest deals to date, it was a 7-figure deal, high 7-figure. And the way I talk about the deal is not so much what I netted out of it financially, but what it did for my end client. For the client that I was leading towards co-creation of more, better, higher grounds. We still talk to this day, by the way, and we go to each other as trusted thought partners. And I just really value how, in this case, brain science has helped me decode or crack the code on how do we actually put the humans back in the center of these commercial conversations that would lead to mutual success. Obviously, right, it has to produce business outcomes. But we were able to do it, or I was able to do it in a way with my clients to unprecedented levels of success and joy and ease. So that's a bit about Brain Cells Global, a little bit about the genesis of the idea and the concept itself.
Well, let me ask you there, because I mentor, and as I told you earlier, I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs. I have bills to pay. I got a family to feed, all those things. How am I going to use your word, which I love, or serve or empower?
Yeah.
When I'm serving and empowering people, you're telling me, Sylvia, they can be successful.
Yeah,
They can have
absolutely.
money, and they can have money.
Yes, as I've demonstrated for 20 some years. Yes.
You hearing
So
that? That's beautiful.
so what you're asking, Steve, is how, right? So there is this assumption or preconceived notion that when we're kind, when we lead with abundance, when we serve, when we empower, we are leaving money on the table. That's utter BS. I'm going to call BS on
Amen.
that, okay? Because what happens is when we empower someone, when we do what I call brain syncing. So I don't teach people to sell, I teach people to brain sync with their end audience, be it a potential prospective client, a future client, a potential future partner. Brain syncing means that we align with them in terms of how their brains are processing the information, what will actually guide them towards a meaningful insight that would be pertinent, relevant, and timely for their operating reality. The tagline that I often use is at the end of brain syncing, for the other side, it saying yes would feel so inevitably natural or naturally inevitable, depending on the day. Yet there's an inevitability of them leaning in. That would feel so natural and organic that resistance goes away entirely. Objections, like people always ask, how do I handle objections? And I go, the fact that you have to ask that means that you're not brain syncing. there's a connection issue between your brain and their brain. Therefore, there are objections surfacing. So all that's to say, the end goal of Brain Cells Global and the brain syncing method that we teach here is to enable the other side to say yes every step of the way. That feels so natural and inevitable. Just like it's almost like self-generated for them.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Well, I'm loving brain sync. I wrote that down, and that's something that's going to be in my vocabulary because I love that. But here's the thing that I'm hearing, and tell me if you agree with this. It also qualifies people, because if I'm not syncing with you, Sylvia, and I'm doing this value and the transformation and all that, and they're not getting it, we can say goodbye with a hug, a virtual hug or a handshake, and we're fine. We've not left that bridge burned, right? Talk about
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So brain syncing in this case, the brain part of brain syncing is actually an acronym. BRAIN, all caps. So it stands for the 5 following ingredients that need to be surfaced or discussed and co-discovered before we can talk about the next steps or the what of the service or solution. And to use your language, right, to really co-determine, is there something else here that we should pursue together? So B stands for belief, R stands for reality, A stands for attention, I stands for insight, and N stands for new action. So this is about both sides coming together to explore, what does each side believe about this concept? So it could be something as innocuous as time management. It could be as something as important as our personal values, right? Or how have they thought about transformation? Do they even believe transformation is viable or feasible? Or maybe they have some, let's call them limiting beliefs about that. So just starting from that first part of brain thinking, which is understanding each other's belief system and concepts about the thing that we're discussing, goes a long way to building empathy. So this is another piece that I wanted to offer, to your audience to think about, Steve, in that a lot of folks like to think that they're being empathetic, and they probably are. Yet the brain does not register intention. So I can sit here all day and go, I intend to show up as the most empathetic person to Steve. Yet if I don't construct my actions and behaviors and my word choices, right, in the way that I physically engage with you or communicate with you verbally, you're not going to know and feel that empathy from me. So that's what brain syncing is meant to do, is to help the other side's brain actually pick up on our empathy, right? Or the intention, at least, to be empathetic. Yet I just go, a lot of times we, in our eagerness, I think most people do have good intentions. I'll say that, Steve. Most of the time we show up to conversations and calls, with prospective clients or even current clients, and most of us have an intention to impart knowledge, add to their thinking, literally show our expertise in service of them. Yet a lot of times we are just being processed as noise because we haven't set the stage for the brain to receive those juicy tidbits, as I call them.
Yeah, it's a good name. And interesting about brain syncing, we're doing it every day with our wife, our kids, our employees, our friends, our grocery store clerk, the bank teller, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes that sales word. And audience, think about this. Brain syncing takes the sell, which scares people. It doesn't scare me. Obviously doesn't scare you or sales, because really that's what you're doing, is just bringing value. I love it. Well, you're a leader. So this is an important question for people that really listen to her answer. What are the core values of a great leader?
Uh, I've been thinking a lot about this, Steve, over the years. Um, I don't know that I can distill it to just one, even though one of the
Yeah.
superpowers that I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation today was that I'm able to take the complex and, chunk it down and simplify it. Yet I just kind of go, gosh, this notion of the most important value. I would, if I had to pick one word, I would pick curiosity. So there's a paradox in most leaders in that they got to where they got to because of their knowledge, expertise, know-hows, experiences, lessons learned. And at some point in our journey, we tend to get less curious just by virtue of us being rewarded for our expertise, again, right, for our know-how, for our experiences today. So I would really love for every leader out there listening, and this is something that I work on myself too, to lead your teams, to lead even those around you, and really lead conversations with a greater sense of curiosity.
Beautiful. I love that. And there's many more, and we'll get her contact info so you can reach out. But that's a top one, and anybody can do it. Again, I'm going back. Anybody be curious.
Oh, 100%, Steve. So this is, like you said, it's less of a skill, but more of a choice, a commitment, right, to practicing this thing. And it becomes habitual over time. And I was asked this question recently: how do I show curiosity? And I said, think back to when you were maybe 5 years old. What did you do then, much more so than you do now? And this guy at first said, well, I laughed a lot more. I'm like, okay, well, we got to work on that too. We got to add some joy back to your life. But what was the second thing that pervaded your childhood that you see yourself doing less of nowadays as a grown adult? And he said, ask questions. So he automatically went to the place of, gosh, when I was a kid, you know, I just ask questions all the time. Like, why this, why that? How would this work? Right? How does this work? Right? What is this? Right? And yeah, and he goes, gosh, as a leader, as a senior leader now, as a C-level leader, I probably ask questions, but not out of curiosity, genuine curiosity. It's just to get through the meeting, maybe to make sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, less from a place of learning.
Yeah.
So that was a big aha for him.
Yeah, and it's huge because questions are one of the best tools in sales in the world. If you're not
Exactly.
asking questions, you're not selling.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can all do. I was very happy to hear back from a team that I just recently engaged. And they said something that really touched me. They said, Sylvia, you encourage us to ask just one more question. You're not asking us to turn everything upside down. You're not saying that our method was bad. You just encourage us to ask one more question. So anytime that we felt the urge to explain or justify something, replace that urge to explain or justify with a question. And all of them said, what a difference it's made. Just one more question. So, like you said, Steve, it's not that we're any more special than anybody else. It's just that we are choosing something a little bit different. So, just one extra question to ask somebody. So that is
Yeah.
the call to action, the CTA, if you
It's
will, for
the
all of
CT
us.
is unbelievable, and it's making my head spin because when you do meetings, webinars, presentations, start with a question because it engages people instead of just going, I'm blah, 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 just vomiting on people. They're like, I don't even know if I'm interested yet, and you're throwing stuff at me. It's powerful. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end here, but teamwork. How's that playing in all this?
Yeah. So teamwork, as I phrase this, is again a bunch of people, usually with a common goal, that just has not learned how to bring sync with one another. So uh, it was actually very telling when I brought up the term silo. I think it was most people had this like visceral reaction. They're like, oh, right, or, like they feel the frustration, right? They feel that resistance, the inertia, or just like even one person was like, there's a human being in our midst who embodies silos. So every one of us probably can think of somebody that has been, let's call it right, lacking in high energy, really not that collaborative yet. All that's to say, teamwork is a series of behaviors, actions, and habits around brain syncing that we gotta just habitually and consistently and rigorously practice together. So the teamwork in of itself, most people think of, oh, like the team won this, or right, let's say in sports, in athletics, in pro sports, it's them hoisting the trophy. Yet that's the outcome, right? That's the end result. Yet the teamwork is learning how to bring sync with one another better, faster, sooner even. and building those connective tissues that will lead us to bridging those gaps around reciprocity, collaboration, co-creation, even generosity, kindness, inclusiveness, so on and so forth.
I love that. Napoleon Hill comes to my head because he talks about, you're just saying mastermind. It's all it is. Putting your heads together and find it, because it's so much easier. And sports is a perfect example. Tom Brady did not win the Super Bowl. His team won the Super Bowl with teamwork. He just happened to be the CEO of the team.
Yeah.
But he had all those players. Yeah, I love that. I love with this. Well, let's end with a fun question. I've got a reservation at a restaurant for you. There's a table of 4. So you're going to sit at one of the tables. The other 3 tables or chairs are empty. Who would you invite, whether dead or alive, to converse, talk to, learn from, and what food would you order for the table?
So I'm going to start with the food first, being a foodie
Most people
myself.
do.
It would definitely be a platter of sashimi. Lots of fresh sashimi straight from Japan, and there will be a fantastic selection of Japanese sake to pair.
Nice.
So definitely Japanese leaning in terms of cuisine. The first person I would love to meet and talk to, Jane Austen, my favorite author. So growing up, Jane Austen's books guided me to this really beautiful world. Not utopian by any stretch of the imagination, yet again, it was all about the interactions between people. And those interactions made or broke relationships, literally family dynamics, someone's future, even, right? And so I was just so fascinated by, like, gosh, like, first of all, she was a woman author in a time when she herself probably couldn't even own property, so on and so forth, right? As she was a baller
Yeah.
in a man's world as a female. So I love that, all that about her. So Jane Austen definitely was probably my first teacher, if you will, for the importance of connection, human connection, the human heart, and the connection to the brain. So she was really my first mentor in that space. So Jane Austen would be definitely my first guest. Gosh, like if I had to pick 2 more, like I feel like there again, like so many people I want to ask questions of. So I absolutely love the show Family Guy, created by Seth MacFarlane. I have so many questions to ask that man. He will absolutely have to be at my table. Just
Beautiful.
again, out of curiosity about him and the
Yeah.
way his brain works. And then I would love to see my grandma again. So the third person would be my maternal grandmother, who taught me all about food and cooking. So we're coming full circle.
Well, probably, and I'll bring a chair for me because Grandma will have to cook for us. Let Grandma cook. Let's bring her back to cook.
I
What's
would
her
have to
name?
cook with her.
There you go.
So,
What's her name? What's your grandma's name?
so this is really funny. I don't actually know it in English because she wasn't given an English name. So she has a Fujianese name that would sound very strange to non-native speakers. So, but I called her endearingly Paw Paw. So Paw Paw is like Meemaw,
Yeah,
essentially.
Papa.
Yeah, yeah.
Papa, shout out to you. I know you're in heaven. You did a great job with this beautiful lady. And
Oh,
thank you for being an incredible guest.
oh my
And I
God.
know people are listening, and I mean, I got notes here like crazy. How could people reach out to you and learn more about brain cells and all the different things you're doing?
Yeah, a couple ways, Steve. So I write a newsletter twice a month called the Human Connection Playbook. So that's on LinkedIn. So just go ahead and look me up, Sylvia Lee. That's Silvia. Li is the way I spell my last name. So that's on the screen right now. So definitely connect with my newsletter. In it, I talk about and flesh out a lot of the things that we started exploring today. And then email is probably a great way to get in touch with me. I check my emails even in the air when I'm on an airplane. So that's Sylvia, Silvia, at Brain Cells. That's BRAINSELLS.org.
Beautiful. Wow. Powerful. Thank you again. And audience, here's a perfect example why you subscribe to the YouTube channel. She's going to love this because I know people are going, oh, he wants more subscribers. Yeah, they're cool. And I got thousands of subscribers, and it's great because we get the impact them. But think about it, you're a subscriber to this podcast or any other podcast, and you get a link sent to you because that's what they do. You get that new shows out. Well, say you get this and you're listening and you go, God, my friend's struggling with his sales. Well, you share the podcast of Sylvia to them. They listen for 10 or 15, 20 minutes and go, I got to talk to this woman. And you impacted them. Maybe they hire, maybe they don't. But it's again, that empathy in these gifts, because these we are. We're just giving. It's not going to resonate for everybody, but I use my podcast all the time to share with others to help them grow. You could do the same thing. With that being said, me and Sylvia want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Steve.